Hi there, welcome to Moonstone Soul. Today I'm going to do a review of a tarot deck, which is the first one I ever bought, which is where it all started for me, so it's a real special one. And it is the Gateway to the Divine Tarot by Ciro Marchetti, who's an American Italian. He does not read tarot cards, but he is an amazing artist, and I chose the deck initially because of the artwork. Obviously, I like it so much because I've got his queens up there. So we'll just start off by looking at the guidebook. It's a real novel of a guidebook, so it's very comprehensive, which I found super useful when I was just starting out. So really good for beginners, I think. It is based on the Rider-Waite imagery. There are a few differences, which I'll point out. But it is a really good one because it gives you so much info. Having said that, a fair portion of the book, the beginning part, is actually a story. And it is the story of the creation of the deck. So it's quite interesting. You don't need to read it to be able to enjoy the deck and use it or understand it. It's just, it's a fair bit of reading to do, it's a sort of a creative inspiration of how it came to be. But it's not necessary to read it to do readings from the deck. So the guidebook is split into 3 sections, or 4 actually, and an appendix. So you've got the majors, and then you've got the minor arcana, and then you have the court cards. Quite interestingly, he has split them out and discussed those separately. And then you have a section at the back about how to use the cards, how to connect with the cards, and some spreads. And then there's an appendix. So we'll go through it bit by bit. Now, for each major arcana card, there's quite a bit of information. They are obviously in order, starting with the Fool. And for each card in the deck, there are contributors that have given their take on each card, because Marchetti is not a reader, but for each card he has given a description of how the card feels for him, and in some cases creative inspiration, and why he put in the elements that he did with the artwork. Excuse me. Then we have Ruth Ann and Wald Amberstone, who are tarot teachers, and they give it's almost like a dreamy kind of feel. It's usually a very short paragraph on each card, just to say what it means for them, how they interpret the imagery. Also, James Rickliff, who's a certified tarot master, he gives his take on it as well, and it's a little bit more grounded, I would say, his descriptions, and usually a little deeper as well. Now, the person who gives the most insight to the cards, I feel, for a new reader, and even if you've been doing it for a while, but new readers particularly will find the information useful, that comes from Lisa Refalo, and she creates and publishes her own decks, and she's got a website, and she's pretty clued up on the whole thing. So there's 4 different approaches to each card, and you can see there it's divided. We have Ciro Marchetti, and then we have these other people who all give their take. Now, Lisa gives quite a lot. She gives keywords, reversed keywords, a description, like actually telling you what's in the card, although you can see it anyway, meanings, elemental attributions, planetary attributions, if there are any, gifts that the card give you, obviously spiritual gifts, advice. So if you're using them as an advice card, that's quite useful, I found. If you just wanted to place it in an advice position, she's given what that would mean according to her for each card. And at the bottom there is a quote. Now, I don't know if the quote is from Lisa or from Marchetti, but it's quite a nice little quote, just adds a little something. So we have that divided into the majors, and then we start off with wands, cups, swords, and coins in this deck. The pentacles are coins, which is quite common. And then there's at the back of the book a piece about the court cards, which are treated differently because they are different. So it gives you some insight into each court card, which can be difficult to read. I find that of all of them, they can mean so many things. They can mean people, they can mean ideas, they can mean energies, and fitting those into a reading can be a little tricky sometimes if you're not too familiar with it. And then at the back of the book, it is, as I mentioned, some information about how to connect with them, a selection of spreads. There's a few of those. They're from Lisa Rifalo. And these, which I found really quite useful in the appendix, are little charts. You won't be able to read them. But there's a chart there for elements and what they mean, how they relate to each card or each suit. We've got some numerology in there, how the numbers can be interpreted in a spread, which is super good for new readers particularly. Planet attributions and the zodiac signs that they relate to, the cards, whether they're cardinal cards or all of that. And then there's a bibliography at the back, which we won't need to go into. So I'll give you a little look at the cards. I chose them. There's the back of them. That is also cool. It's got that sort of steampunk theme, which Marchetti is very keen on, and relates to the story at the beginning of the book about how the cards came to be. So they're pretty cool, and you can read those up or down. So it's quite good if you do or don't read reversals. You can, just they'll pop out and you can switch them around. So we start off with the Fool, and I'll just run through them and tell you that I chose these cards primarily for the artwork. Now, as you can see, they are based on the traditional imagery. This is a little different. The Hierophant has been swapped out for Faith, which is also available in a poster, I believe, and Marchetti said that's his best-selling poster. So instead of one man, usually one man, like a pope type looking person, we've got 4 different faiths represented there, and it's called Faith rather than the Hierophant. Obviously the Lovers, which is one of my favourite Lovers cards in any deck I've seen, and there's Chariot, which is the Cancer card, which is my card. So I am loving on that, and I use that quite a bit for if I'm on, internet chats or whatever, and I don't want to show my face, I use this card. It's great. Strength, which was also one of my favourites. And you can see that the Wheel, one of my favourites as well. So they really are quite familiar. This comes up slightly different. No Tree, that you might be familiar with. And there's some really quite interesting information about the coins, Odin's coins. Death and Temperance is a really lovely one too. And that is the handsomest devil in any deck that I've found ever. So, loving on the devil. And the Tower, the Star is gorgeous. That's a really inspirational card. Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and of course the World at the end, which is a little different to most of the decks I've seen, in that really does look like a man to me rather than a woman or ambiguous. So that's the majors. Now I won't run through all of them, but the wands, as you can see, are in a colour palette, and that's quite common with a lot of decks, and it's quite handy as well. So the wands are obviously quite fiery colours. The cups are a little bit different to that, in that you've got like the 9 of cups is not watery looking at all, and neither is the 10. That's quite fiery, in fact. But most of them are using water based palette. The swords are quite stormy, I feel. The colours are more purpley, blue, grey. That's one of my favourite Two of Swords cards in any deck. I think that's amazing. And it's a slightly different take on it, but there you go. There's a brief look at the colours on those. And the coins, which are yellowy and green, most of them. And that's one of my favourite. 9 of coins or 9 of pentacles cards. Again, I've got a few decks, obviously, and seen a lot more. That is one of my favourite. 9 of coins. So they are quite easy to distinguish with the colour palettes. Now the court cards, as I say, are dealt with differently. So the pages, sometimes the gender on the pages is ambiguous, and the knights are done a little differently in the fact that they don't show a whole person on a horse. There is usually some sort of movement. Here there's dragons, but there are horses in some of the others. And it's just the helmet. And Marchetti goes into why he did that. And that's my favourite queen ever, even though I am a Cancerian. I do have Aries rising, and she is my inspiration. Not quite there, but I do love that card. So again, we've got the colour palettes, and that is a super dreamy, emotional Knight of Cups. And that's me, Queen of Cups, Miss Cancer. But funny, I do actually connect more with the Queen of Wands for some reason, and I like her too. But you don't mess with this chick. Seriously, that is one serious queen. And it's quite different in that the kings are represented as a full body. You see him as a full body, and the queens, as you can see, are really just from the chest up. It really hones in on the face so that it highlights that it's a more emotional card rather than these guys are a little more remote, standing back as kings do, surveying their kingdom. And it's a lovely little page there. So they are gorgeous cards. I love all of them. They are my go-to deck. When I do daily reads, I usually do a 3-card daily read in the morning. If I've got time, this is the deck that I use. So I just thought to end it, even though these are kind of not very well shuffled, obviously, I'll just do a quick little shuffle and tell you while I'm doing that these were first published in 2009 by Llewellyn. I bought these, I don't know, 3 years ago, something like that. So they're still around. He's done loads of decks. They're all gorgeous, and I would like to get another 1 or 2 of his, but there's also a lot of other decks I want to get too. So you can tell by the condition of these cards that I use them a lot. I find them easy to shuffle. I've got a small hand, so they do fit quite well. And I don't do the, because I don't like to bend my cards. I know other people seem to be able to do it without bending them, but I cannot. So this is how I shuffle them generally. So I'm just asking, I think, for 3 cards to give us an idea of what you and I need to know about this deck. I've had one pop out already. I shall reveal it in a moment. And I'll just see if I can get another couple to pop. Take that one. And just give us a message about this deck, and hopefully that'll give us a little insight into how we should use it or why we should. Oh, I've got 2 flipped there, so we'll have 4 cards. And they are in order. Judgment. So in relation to the deck, I would say that this is, maybe take a different look at tarot through this deck. Get some fresh eyes on it and just interpret it in a slightly different way through the imagery. Then we have our lovely 6 of Cups, which is just super. I love it. And just I would read that in relation to this deck as it takes from the past. It takes all the good things from decks in the past and it's just a really happy place for me. These cards are my happy place, so hopefully they would also be your happy place. The Empress. So for me, Empress means creativity, fertility, all those good things, abundance. And I think these cards are really creative. You can just see how much is stuffed into those cards, all the beautiful pictures. The Empress is a particularly good example of that. So that's an all-encompassing creative use of tarot, I feel. And then the Emperor, who, as we know, is all about structure, keeping things on the straight and narrow, empowerment, and that's what I use my cards for. Don't know what you use them for, but my daily reads are to keep me focused on my path and to make me open to energies of the day that are coming around. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative. I highly recommend it. Uh, it doesn't suit everybody, but I don't think anybody could dispute the beauty of the cards. And if you're looking for a beginning set particularly, and the traditional Rider-Waite isn't your thing, then I would definitely go for this. And if you've got any comments about that, if there's anything more you'd like to know about the cards, you can flick me a message down below, or you can just look them up online. But that is my go-to deck. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.